Once Allah appointed Moses as a prophet, the story of Moses begins with his birth in Egypt. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. At that time, the Pharaoh ruled the land and oppressed the Israelites who lived as slaves in Egypt. During that period, a prophecy caused concern for the Pharaoh. He had an extraordinary dream. He dreamt that a child from the Israelites would pose a threat to his reign in the future. The Israelite community in Egypt had grown strong, and Pharaoh feared that they might rebel against his rule. For this reason, he ordered that all newborn male children of the Israelites be killed to avert the perceived threat. However, fate has its own ways, and Moses' mother dared an act of rebellion against the cruel act against the cruel order. She placed little Moses in a basket on the Nile, hoping to save his life. The currents led the basket to the walls of the royal palace where destiny wove its threads. Touched by compassion, the Pharaoh's wife discovered the innocent child and decided to adopt him, raising him as her own. Moses, once near the fate of certain death, found his home in the magnificent palace where wealth surrounded him and opened his gates. As Moses grew, he recognized his Israelite heritage and developed deep compassion for his people who were oppressed. Throughout his life, he had been internally stirred by the events unfolding in Egypt. One day, the moment that changed everything arrived. Moses was chosen by Allah and called to be a prophet. He received the task of proclaiming the message of the one God and liberating the Israelites from the tyranny of Pharaoh. Meanwhile, several years had passed, and the son of the former Pharaoh ascended to the throne as the new Pharaoh. On Allah's command, he approached the Pharaoh, demanding the freedom of the Israelites, but in vain. Pharaoh never believed in the prophethood nor in one God and refused to release the Israelites. Moses displayed numerous miracles and signs, yet the tyrant remained unbelieving and clung to his arrogance. Then the power of Allah intervened with plagues that afflicted Egypt. The Nile water turned into blood, leading to the death of fish and undrinkable water. The land was inundated with frogs that appeared everywhere, even in the Egyptians' homes. Lice infected both humans and livestock. A severe hailstone destroyed crops and trees. Swarms of locusts devoured the remaining plants and trees, and a darkness as dense as despair covered the land. At the end of these successive severe trials, the Pharaoh indeed relented, and the Israelites were granted permission to break free from the shackles of their captivity. However, the heart of the Pharaoh hardened once again. He and his army pursued the fleeing Israelites to the shores of the Red Sea. Caught between the waters and the looming army, it seemed as if their fate was sealed. However, in a breathtaking moment, Moses raised his staff, and the grace of Allah split the sea. A dry path appeared, and the Israelites hurried through. The Egyptian army pursued them. But when the Israelites were saved, then Allah caused the water to flow back. The water swallowed Pharaoh's army, and the power of Allah manifested in a triumph victory. Saved from the waters, the Israelites reached the vast expanse of the desert and found refuge at the foot of Mount Sinai. Here at the summit of revelation, Moses received the commandments of Allah. These divine laws were meant not only to govern the behavior of the Israelites, but also to establish a timeless foundation for morality and justice. One day Allah once again spoke to Moses, addressing the Israelites, and said, I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers. I will put my words into his mouth, and he will tell them everything I commanded. Let's recall that Abraham had two sons, Ismail and Ishaq. I will leave you here for Imanillah wa sallallahu wa barak ala nabina Muhammad. Astaghfirullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.